Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on June 21st, 2024. Today is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's often an occasion for some sort of major Holocaust or fire sacrifice by the Satanists, but fortunately we haven't seen anything too bad this year, which is a good sign. However, there is an extremely serious battle going on right now, and it's going to intensify in July, and it's getting very personal. The government of Ukraine, as has been publicized, has issued a sort of a hit list of Western journalists, politicians, military people who they don't think are part of their group. And these people are deadly serious. For example, it's pretty clear now they killed Jim Stone of Jim Stone Freelance because he was exposing stuff they didn't want exposed. And we saw how they attacked Alex Jones and then tried to shut him down, bankrupt him with this Sandy Hook lawsuit. And that's just another one. Now the latest is Archbishop Vigano has just been summoned to a excommunication court, Vatican, because he's been denouncing the rubber mask fake Pope Francis. So they're going to try to remove Vigano. And what happened to me too is getting pretty intense. I've just been given an eviction notice by the Tokyo government for the house I've been living in for 24 years. They're trying to, force me out onto the street, just like they're doing with Alex Jones. The other thing that happened was a female acquaintance of mine was falsely diagnosed with tuberculosis, and then she was placed in solitary confinement and at some kind of, experimental hospital, government hospital, where they tried to convince her to say that I was also contaminated. The idea was to create a pretext to force me into a hospital, and that's how they killed many of us. And so of course I told them, if you try to force me into a hospital, I'll send in goons. I'm healthy as a horse, and no way. But you can see these people are literally fighting for their lives, because here in Japan, the underworld is fully aware that the current Japanese government murdered 500,000 people with vaccines, and there is a fight going on about that. This is what the Tokyo governor election is about this summer. Long-term Khazarian mafia stooge, Governor Koike Yuriko, is under serious attack. They want to remove her in July, and if they do, that will allow the control of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police to fall under white hats, and then they can start rounding up more of these vaccine criminals here in Japan. So that's a very serious fight that's going on. There's a similar fight taking place in France and the UK, where they have general elections also scheduled for July. In France, it's pretty clear that Macron is on his way out, and hopefully there will be a fundamental change there. But some French are reporting that the cabal is just gonna put on a new face to try to stay in power. So that's a fight. And in the UK, of course, there's a huge battle going on. Nigel Farage, the Reform Party, is definitely a white hat, and he needs to win because he's promised to investigate the criminal responsibility for the vaccine deaths, and he's going against the whole WHO, WEF agenda, the Davos agenda. But the, Keir Starmer, the head of the Labour Party, who's supposedly leading the opinion polls, is, according to MI6, compromised over videos of him participating in the satanic sacrifice of Madeleine McCann. And if you look at his public statements, he's done a 180-degree turn on anything. It means he has no policy. He just obeys orders. So, and this fight is also dragging Japan in. They're trying to get the Japanese royal family to visit the UK in June 25th, so next week. And this is to visit King Charles, or the so-called King Charles. We haven't been able to confirm through any analog format that he's really alive, and we believe this is what the MI6 calls the German DVD faction, trying to stay in control of the Bank of England and the Bank of Japan. So there's some serious battles going over the Bank of Japan and the Bank of England that are all part of this. Again, these people are literally fighting for their lives. In the United States, of course, we see what they've done to Donald Trump, but with fake charges against him, and we can also see the White Hats reverse that with the Hunter Biden tapes. But this is still, again, an ongoing battle. These people are literally fighting for their lives, and we need to start focusing on ringleaders like David Rockefeller Jr. He's still out there, and he's still directing this behind the scenes. Barack Obama has apparently been removed from power, but again, we have to wait for further confirmation. But there's a very disturbing news coming out of the U.S. from a government website that the government is calling up all those illegal immigrant males. I believe there's more than 7 million of them, military-aged foreign illegal immigrant males, for selective service. So they're going to try to draft a giant army of foreign men to control the American people. So you got to take that seriously. That's on an official government website. I'll have the link in my Monday report. But clearly, we're in a very tight situation. We've got to fight hard now. And for this reason, I may not be able to go to Canada this summer because the warfare is just too intense, and I need to make sure that Japan gets cleaned up. Now, the other thing I know is that something has happened with North Korea. I've been in touch with the North Koreans, and as you know, Russian President Vladimir Putin just visited North Korea, where they signed a treaty of mutual military support. Now, Putin went to Vietnam to say that'll only happen if North Korea is attacked, but of course, we all know how, they start wars with false flag attacks, so they can, the North Koreans can just pretend South Korea attacked them, and that's it. But, however, the North Koreans understand that the real enemy is not South Korea. The real enemy is the Khazarian mafia cabal in charge of the fake Biden regime, and Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, and Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. So they know that these are the people they have to deal with in order to reunify with South Korea. And that means they're not going to be fooled into an all-out war. However, the fact that they now have nuclear weapons capable of reaching the mainland U.S. means that nothing is going to stop the Koreans from announcing they're going to reunify and, forget the nuclear blackmail, because we've got the same, blackmail against you. So something's going to happen there, and something's going to happen in Japan. The government of Kishida just promised 10 years of military support or economic support to Ukraine, despite the fact that Ukraine has been proven to be stealing organs, torturing children to death to harvest adrenochrome, spreading bioweapons, etc., etc. It's a serious criminal state. So there is going to be regime change in Japan, but like I say, the reason I'm probably going to stay this summer is because the fight is very intense, and it's no time to, go off into the wilderness to spend my time fishing and swimming, which I'd like to do, but it's just too tense a situation. Hopefully, I know that every year I talk about how the autumn offensive will make it different, and things have been going well for the White Hats worldwide. If you look at the BRICS Alliance and you look at everything else, you can see things are going in a good direction. But we still have these criminals talking about bird flu, and now the head of Pfizer, Alex Borla, just went out in public and said that COVID was just a rehearsal. So they're making serious threats. So again, we need to finish these people off. It's getting personal for a lot of us, but we are going to win this, and we're going to keep fighting until it's over. And the news from the UK and France shows that there is a fundamental power shift going on. Hopefully something similar will happen in Japan. But, keep your powder dry, folks, because we're in it for a big battle. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself today. Uh, Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. It says, I've been following your reports with gratitude of having a good occasion to get good information sources, especially since I never follow mass media anymore. However, the fact that you mention Jubilee, the one-time cancellation of all debts, is not acceptable. As life basics, we have to return borrowed money, period. If such Jubilee is allowed, that would be unfair to those, including me, who have not borrowed money due to lack of assets. What's your take on this?
I've had this question in different forms before, but the first thing people need to understand is that the United States and much of the Western world has been under a form of Babylonian debt slavery since the Federal Reserve Board was taken away from the government in 1913. This means that they create money out of nothing and then impose the debt on the people. So this is fraudulent money that was stolen through fraud from the American and other Western people. And we're just talking about returning stolen money. At the same time, I understand that people who didn't get into debt slavery, who didn't get into debt, and who own their own houses, thanks to their own efforts, and these people will be rewarded in some way or another. In other words, we're going to make sure that people who worked hard and saved will end up better off than before. But we are talking about releasing the debt slaves. This is something that it's going to be worked out with full public consultation, and it'll be a bottom-up effort. It's going to take a long time. I expect it won't happen until late in 2025, but we'll make sure that all these concerns are properly addressed, and it's going to be a big public process. So, the details will be worked out, but we understand that it has to be fair for everybody. Okay, next question.
Hi, Ben. I am wondering what your opinion is of Pascal Najati. He has been on many truthers shows. His last few videos on Rumble has to make me wonder, do the truthers still give him credence? It seems now he is JFK and Diana is his daughter. Have the vaccines gone to his head? As Cassidy mentioned something about thinking he was possessed.
Well, I haven't talked to him myself personally, but my understanding is that he was going along with the public agenda about how there was a disease and we need to vaccinate. And when he realized that he had been conned, he went to the Swiss police. And the Swiss police acted. And because it's Switzerland, and this is where these people are located, he hit a real nerve. And he started a legal procedure that is really endangering the cabal. However, I think he's then found himself in over his head because he has been saying a lot of strange stuff, and he's just beginning to understand the Matrix. So we're going to cut him some slack, and also keep in mind that there may well be fake videos of him meant to discredit him, but he did great work by going to the Swiss police in Switzerland, which then started a forensic investigation, which is endangering the cabal. So I support him on that, but I admit he's said some weird stuff since then, and all I can say is let's cut him a bit of slack and wait and see how this unfolds. But in the meantime, we expect the Swiss police to do their job and arrest the mass murderers hiding in Switzerland, especially in Geneva and the Federal Reserve Board complex there. Next question.
Hi, Ben. You've spoken often about the Octagon Group operating out of Switzerland, but haven't mentioned this group of late. Can you please let us know if anything seems to be going on with this?
I think the recent gathering in Switzerland for a so-called Ukraine press conference was the Octagon Group summoning all their troops, and they invited 160 countries to this so-called Ukrainian peace conference, and only 91 showed up and only 78 signed their document. But if you look at those countries, you'll see the control network that group still has. And, you know, I've heard that they are, you know, of Egyptian pharaonic bloodlines, and I believe that some of the members include the would-be king of Italy, Victor Emmanuel, and then the Dutch royals, and formerly the president of Switzerland, who's now been removed from power. Also Klaus Schwab, he's been removed from this earth, so he's gone. David Rene de Rothschild is certainly a member. Maybe the Belgian royals. And again, the resignation of the Belgian prime minister may be a sign that something's happened there. There's a lot I cannot see, but I think what you can see in public is that Swiss conference, and that shows how much power they still have and how much they've lost. But I'll keep looking into it. Next question.
Hi, Ben. The election is in the UK is on July 4th. It is difficult to believe that the White Hats would allow Keir Starmer to win. He was director of public protections and covered up Jimmy Stavel's vile crimes, who groomed kids for the establishment pedos. Unfortunately, Nigel Farage will not be PM, as his party might only win a few seats. Total disaster coming. What can you make of this?
I sort of talked about it a bit in my talk, but what I have heard from MI6, for what it's worth, is that Keir Starmer will be removed before the election. But, you know, clearly there is a serious infight within MI6, and it's between John Scarlett, the former head of MI6, who was responsible for Fukushima and other things, and the White Hats, whose names I won't mention, but I believe Simon Case, the chief cabinet secretary, may be switching over to the White Hats, but it's clearly a big fight there between a German group that wants to keep a fake King Charles and stay in control of the British monetary system, and the reformists who understand that the British government has been hijacked by transnational criminals and wish to restore British democracy and sovereignty, the rule of law and democracy. And we must all do what we can to support Mr. Farage and make sure he wins, and make sure Starmer does not just become a new Khazarian mafia traitor to the British people. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We have our last question for today. China seems to be ramping up its aggression towards Taiwan and the Philippines. Do you expect China to attempt a Taiwan takeover in the near future, and what would this mean globally?
China will try to reunify with Taiwan, but they're not going to use force, because that would kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. They don't want to have the place blown up on them. And the Chinese understand that the issue of Taiwan is linked to the issue of Japan and of the Korean Peninsula, and that the Korean Peninsula needs to be reunified, Japan needs to become an independent country again, and then the Taiwan issue will be settled. And they also know that this is going to be done not through warfare, but more likely through arrests and possible selective assassinations, but the Chinese understand that war is destructive and nobody profits from it, and they're not going to be fooled into starting World War III over Taiwan. So I wouldn't worry about it. The people promoting the war are the people behind the Khazarian mafia who desperately need to start World War III in order to prevent themselves from being arrested for mass murder. And most of the world understands that we must not let them start World War III, and that includes the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Iranians, the Russians, everybody, basically. So we will win this, but these are extremely dangerous, cornered animals, and it's a very dangerous time right now, so we all must be very cautious as we go forward. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next week.